Alrighty, so hi, this is the first time you're probably seeing me. I'm Tara West. I am the instructor for our online EDUTL 2368 course. And I just wanted to do a couple of examples for the reader autobiography, since that's the first kind of big point assignment that we are going to be having to turn in. So feel free to skip through the video however you feel is necessary or helpful for you. But I'm going to give you 3 different examples because we all have different reading backgrounds, and I don't want you to see one of my examples and then think that like, oh, I need to also try to think of a book that had like a similar effect on me. Keep in mind, it's a 2 to 3 minute video. You are picking a book that is personal to you. You can also take the time to kind of introduce yourself a little bit more and give me a better idea of kind of like who you are as a reader. And if you don't identify as a reader, that's totally okay. Don't feel like you have to like not tell me that. It's not going to hurt my feelings one way or the other. And because this is an example, I'm not going to do a full 2 to 3 minutes per each book. I just wanted to give you guys some sort of guideline, some sort of basis of what you can do. So my first option for a book that had a really big impact on me is A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. I taught it. It was the first novel that I taught the first year that I started teaching. And I was teaching for 7th grade at that time. And I didn't realize it when I had picked the novel, but I had a couple of students whose parents also had cancer. And there was one kid in particular that all of the other 7th grade teachers had like a meeting with their parents to kind of let us know what was going on. And it was really intense for me coming right out of my undergrad degree into my teaching program. And if you don't know anything about A Monster Calls, the main character's, spoilers, the main character's mom has cancer, and the treatments that are available are not positively affecting the cancer. Nothing's really helping anymore. And so the main character, he's like 10, he struggles a lot with realizing that, his mom isn't getting better. And so he ends up kind of summoning this monster that helps him kind of process some of the grief that he's dealing with and the anger. But it had a really, really big impact on me because I did have a student whose parent did pass away. And it happened before we got to the end of the novel. And on the one hand, I was very concerned because that's a incredibly traumatic experience to have as a 7th grader or anybody. But I was worried because of where we left off in the novel. And after about like 2 or 3 weeks, like the student's mom actually sent me an email and said, hey, can you send me the rest of what you were planning on having like my kid do with the class with this novel, because I went and purchased a couple of copies, and I think it would be helpful for both of us to actually finish it. And probably was the first instance that I saw how a book could affect somebody else in an incredibly strong and powerful way. Right, so option number 1, or example number 1, you do not have to get that deep. If you're like, oh, I am not there, that's fine. I know you guys don't have me in person, but I'm a pretty like open person. So this is just an example of a type of book that you could pick. I'm not saying that you have to choose from this though. The next novel is Black Beauty. And it's not necessarily my favorite novel ever. It's probably not even the top like 10. But this was the first chapter book that I remember reading on my own. And I still have my copy of it. I didn't want to dig it out of my like box of books. But I read that copy so many times. Like the binding is cracked at this point. And there was just something about the fact that it was the first chapter book that I read on my own that is like I latched on to. And so even though it's kind of like a small accomplishment at this point, because it's not a particularly difficult book to read, it is still one that I kind of like think about and go back to occasionally to like read through. Again, so example 2, quick, short, a lot more fluffy, not a super deep connection to it. And then like example 3 is actually a fairly new manga series called Play It Cool Guys. The entire premise is there's these 4 characters and everybody thinks that they're like super cool and suave and like nothing bothers them. But internally they just have so much anxiety and social anxiety. And they all handle it in different ways. So externally they might look like they're being like super calm and stoic, but internally they're like freaking out. And the manga is very colorful and like beautiful, and the 4 characters are all like very unique and different in their personalities. And kind of how their mistakes pop up are very different as well. And I think this is probably my like a top favorite and one that I'm picking as an option just because like things do get really heavy. Like the world gets really heavy, stuff in the news gets really heavy, being in school gets really heavy, and it's really nice to be able to kind of take a step back and read something where the biggest conflict is a character forgetting that like he's wearing his glasses today, not his contacts. So trying to like put eye drops in his eyes hits his glasses. Or, you know, you go to turn around and take a drink out of your like water bottle or whatever, and you realize you didn't like take the cap off. So like you didn't actually get any drink. So yeah, hopefully this is a little bit helpful. You don't have to be super formal with your assignment. It can be very, very conversational. I know it might be a little awkward to kind of talk to like yourself in a video. But if you have any questions about it, please make sure that you email me. I'm pretty good about responding pretty quickly, but hopefully this was helpful. And good luck.